Welcome to the Interior Design Podcast. I'm Hayley Roy, a commercial interior designer with a passion for creating beautiful functional spaces. Over the years, I've worked on a variety of projects and I've accumulated a wealth of knowledge, which I'm excited to share with you. I started this podcast because I believe in the power of interior design. So much of what we need to know as designers, you won't learn in a classroom. Whether you're an aspiring designer, tackling your home project, or a seasoned pro, this podcast is for you. Season 2 is here, and I couldn't be more thrilled to kick things off with some fresh energy and exciting changes. This season, I'm joined by not one, but two incredible co-hosts, Hannah Denny and Scarlett Mallet. Together, we're diving deeper into the world of design to bring you more perspectives, lively debates, and all the tips and tricks you need to thrive. We're here to offer practical advice, discuss the latest trends, and give you unfiltered, real-world insights. Expect honest conversations, a bit of humour, and maybe even the occasional strong opinion and language. Remember, if it's not fun, we're not doing it. And if you're a sound editor looking for a fun collaboration, let us know. We'd love to have you on board. Thanks for tuning in to Season 2 of the Interior Design Podcast. Today's guest is Marianne Shillingford. She is the Creative Director of Dulux, which she's just told me is one of the biggest paint companies in the world.
It
So
is.
I'm very honoured to have her on the podcast.
Not at all.
Podcast.
Oh, I'm thrilled
Welcome
to
to
be
the
here. I'm thrilled to be here.
Thank you for coming. Do you want to introduce yourself and,
Well,
the company?
People say, what does a creative director of big paint company do? Well, on a daily basis, I'll be working with designers, architects, our marketing department, the sales department, people on the shop floor, and scientists. It is an extraordinary job where you get to touch every point at which colour becomes paint, becomes interior design. And that's the fun part of my job. No 2 days are the same. And I think I've probably got the best job in the world.
Oh my God, you have.
I do.
So tell us a little bit about Dulux for anyone who doesn't know, because there's
Well,
some aspiring designers listening.
Yeah, Dulux is a global company. It's part of AkzoNobel. It's one of the biggest companies in the world to create paint. I work in the decorative part of the paint, but AkzoNobel create paint and surface coatings for everything from oil rigs to aeroplanes to racing cars. Probably the coating of your mobile phone will have an AkzoNobel coating on it. And I work really in the colour department. We make some incredible products for protecting the things that we've paid lots of money for. So it's protecting the surfaces of things. My bit is to bring them to life with colour, because you can create beautiful products, but unless you've got them in the right colours, you're not going to sell them and they won't engage. So hugely important is getting the colour right, because colour is a language that we all speak, we all understand, and it's hugely powerful in the success of everything.
Absolutely. Well said. One of the reasons that I absolutely love Dulux as a brand is that I kind of fell upon it by accident, really, because when I first started as an interior designer, I specified a whole lot of paint for a project and I specified the colour, but I didn't specify the type of paint. And I went into this project and the decorator was trying to cut costs and didn't use the right kind of paint.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a commercial environment and it just didn't work. And the client came back to me and said, what the hell? This is not working for me. And I was then on a bit of a mission to try and make sure that I didn't do that again and that I'd learned from that. So I approached Dulux. And the reason I approached Dulux was because I was talking to a decorator and he was recommending Dulux. So I approached Dulux and said, help. Like, I need to learn more about paint and I need to learn more about what kind of paints go where, which I did. But what they did was said to me, hey, don't worry, just send me your design pack when you've done it and I'll send you a report back that will tell you exactly what paints to use and where, and that will be something that you can give to your client as part of your design process. And I was like, that's amazing. So that's where, my relationship with Dulux started, is that I started doing that. And now every single project that we get, we always specify Dulux wherever we can. And we always speak to Stephen, who's amazing. And he just literally, sometimes it's like on a Sunday and I'm like, hey, I'm urgent, I've got to get this out tomorrow. So yeah, and they send back the report. So if you're a designer out there who is not doing that, like seriously, that is such a valuable thing that you guys do.
It's absolute
that I respect.
music to my ears. I mean, our specification teams are incredible, and our colour team, our commercial colour team back at Colour HQ are amazing as well, and they're here to help you. You know, our commercial colour teams are here to help you with specification, and you know, colour can be beautiful, but unless it's in the right formulation, unless it stands up to the real life and the hammering you're going to give it in, whether it's a bar or a domestic kitchen, it's got to be fit for purpose. So
Absolutely.
yeah, and I think a lot of interior designers do not kind of get that. And we can mix up any color. I mean, just recently, it's only been in the last couple of years that we will mix up any color. So all of our competitors used to mix up our colors, and we used to be terribly sort of, well, we would never do a thing like that. And actually, we do now. So because everybody mixes up each other's colors, so we can mix up any color in any formulation. So if you want something like a scuff shield that is literally, it's the most extraordinary paint for a high traffic area, we can mix it up in any color, ours and other people's.
Amazing. I love Dulux. Sorry. Plug.
I'm
Total
thrilled.
plug.
I'm thrilled.
But like, I just do. I just do. We went to the Dulux launch of the Colour of the Year a few weeks ago, and if anyone hasn't seen it, it's on. I put it out on my reels and stuff. But it was amazing. It was so amazing. Your talk was amazing as well. Just tell us some more about the Colour of the Year 2025.
Well, Colour of the Year 2025 is a colour called True Joy. Now, the process of choosing a colour of the year, I know interior designers will and absolutely quite rightly will say, don't you dare tell us about trends or colour of the year. It's all just a marketing ploy. And I completely get it but what I think interior designers, if I just explain to you how we come up with colour of the year and what that's all about. So the process of colour of the year is part of a body of work we work on called Colour Futures. Now, this is a global piece of work where we look at what's happening in the world that's going to influence the way we're living in the built environment in the years to come. It starts every year in June. It's all of the countries that sell Dulux and have a colour team will nominate one person from their region or their country that's doing something extraordinary in the field of architecture or design or technology. Could be an amazing influencer. It could be the editor of Elle Decoration in China and India this year. Somebody who's got something to say and has a real lens on the future and how we're going to be living in the future. What are the big things that are worrying us? What are we spending our money on? Where are we going on holiday? What's influencing our interiors and the built environment? So every year we invite this incredible body of people to a Colour Futures workshop. And this is a 3-day workshop, believe it or not. And we ask them to present what they think is going to be the big thing for the future. And what we do after this 3-day workshop is we look at commonalities in the conversation. So things that are actually sort of affecting the whole world. So there'll be lots of regional things, but there'll be lots of commonalities, lots of common interests, common goals, common worries. And we take these and we turn them into stories. So rather than trends, I hate the word trend. It's a horrible word, but trend is actually
Cheryl hates trends as well.
Yeah, because it's just something that sort of feels like it's imposed upon you. What we want to do is we want to create colour stories and colour palettes that capture something that's happening in the world, something that we want and something we need and something that we see. And we give them to you, interior designers and architects, as tools. That's simply our job, is to give you colours that will bring you joy and help you to be more commercially successful, because we've got a lens on the world and we think we know this might be a big thing in the future. So Colour of the Year came out of this moment that we are in. Isn't the world a horrible place? I can't, I am one of these, I can't listen to the news anymore.
I don't
It makes
either.
me miserable.
Yeah.
I know what's going to happen. And sometimes if I can't sleep in the middle of the night, I'll turn on the BBC and I'm trying to scroll to find something that makes me happy, and it's really hard to find something that makes us happy. Well, this year, 2024, we chose colours and colour stories that kind of helped people plug back into the mains, help people feel comfortable, help them sort of find their feet again after years of turmoil. Moving forward, we kind of realised that the only people that are going to create change, positive change, are us. And we need to do it. We need to step out of our comfort zone, take a leap into the unknown, and find the good and the joy there. Because actually, if nobody's going to do it, who is going to do it? So this idea of the sense that this year we had in 2024, the colour was sweet embrace, and the moment, the sort of mood of the moment was creating a space of your own, somewhere you can kind of just relax in.
Quite
and
nurturing,
recharge,
isn't
a
it? It's like
nurturing
a
space.
beigey,
Yeah, it's a very
warm
it's a warm pink colour.
pink. Yeah,
For 2025, we need to kick up the bum.
I've just realised I've got a pot of true joy.
This is the colour. So the colour is amazing.
We need to describe it for our
It
listeners.
is the most glorious, bright, rich, vibrant yellow. It has a slight undertone of it's a sort of citrine. It's got a little tiny bit of green in it, teeny tiny bit of green. So it's really, really bright, but it's got a certain coolness to it as well. It is amazing for if you've painted in a bathroom. I mean, there is no way there's no get up and go in that bathroom. Painting it on a bedroom ceiling, if you feel you're not really a morning person, amazing. Just little pops of this colour give you a real sense of true joy. But you have to be brave. You have to step out of your comfort zone, because out of your comfort zone, that's where the magic happens.
Take a leap.
Yeah.
Take a leap.
Yeah.
When we went to the event, it was like this suspense. It was like this. You went in and we did all like smells and different colours and what they mean to us, and different. It was a brilliant event.
Oh.
And then there was like this sort of suspense. It was like this corridor of suspense, and then all of a sudden there was this beautiful yellow and all balloons, and it was just amazing.
It's
It's really exciting.
What we wanted to do in that event was to show people the power of colour. Because as an interior designer, all the interior designers out there know how powerful colour is to make a space beautiful initially, but also to create a response. And we respond to colour in the most extraordinary ways. In the most, it uplifts us, it calms us, it can make us feel confident. It can make us feel just relaxed. There are all sorts of emotions that we can engender with colour. And the journey through the power of colour was, we wanted to also help explain how colour and the senses smell. What smells colour? What colours do you associate with different smells? How you associate colours with emotions. So an experience of colour is what we wanted you to have, and then to experience what true joy really looked like.
Oh my goodness, they had space hoppers. They had space hoppers, and like what the little things that you put around your waist? Hula hoops.
Could never do that.
That was amazing.
Oh.
But yeah, no, it was really good. And I felt very honoured to be invited to that. So thank you very much for that. So in terms of colour theory and trends and sort of the psychology of colour, what's your opinion on all of that?
Well, the colour theory, we're always looking at colour theory because how colour relates to each other, how it's made. And we have, I mean, in our basic stable palette, we have 33,000 colours. I think if you've got one of these big Dulux fan decks, there's about 2,400 colours in there. That's our sort of core range. And that you're constantly adding to colour. I mean, the human eye can see up to 10 million colours. We can differentiate, and we haven't named them all yet. So I'm still, this is why I'm still here. So colour is an extraordinary thing, and we're constantly looking at the science of colour and how we make it, how we respond to it. And then when it sort of intersects with trends, we start to see a real relationship between feelings and colours. So let me start with a bit of science, okay, and then I'll explain the feelings. So each colour through the spectrum has a wavelength. So each colour is a wavelength. You imagine a sound wave. The longest wavelength colour is red. Now, this red is the most impactful colour. It's like if you dropped a load of plates in a restaurant, they smashed onto the floor. That's the kind of impact that red has visually on us. You cannot ignore red, and this long wavelength colour is right in our face. When you decorate a room in red, you immediately draw the walls in towards you. You cannot ignore it. It's powerful, and it engenders certain feelings. In the West, it can be power. It can be being sexy, passionate. It can, it really gets the heart racing. In the East, no, it's just generally, it can be, it's immensely powerful, but for hugely positive reasons, for joy, for purity, for luck. So
Yeah, in
Red
China, red is a
it's a
big
powerful
colour, isn't it?
So you look at the science tells you it's a long wavelength colour. The cultural response to it, so a physical response to it is, wow, it gets heart racing. And then culturally, you have this layer of culture over the top that, in generally in the West, we see red as, racing cars, red dress, hot lips, sexy, powerful, stop. And in the East, it can be something different. It can be weddings, it can be joy and
It's
and
like
good luck
prosperity, isn't
and
it?
prosperity. So, but it's still powerful. So you have this wonderful thing where you've got the science, you've got the way we see it and respond to it culturally, and then there's kind of emotional response to it. So each of the colours, and if we could talk colour wavelengths all day long, but then you add this, and this is a big thing at the moment. Lots of people talking about colour psychology, and there is, a certain amount of psychology. Our experience, or when we look at colour psychology, or our response to it is experiential. We have been putting colour palettes together and decorating people's homes for nearly 100 years. And so you can see a correlation between everything from what's happening in the world, what people are watching on television, for example. In the 80s, we were watching Dallas and Dynasty, and suddenly we got this idea that homes should be cream and brown, like the American beautiful sense of this gorgeous sort of natural oatmeal, natural colours, because we were watching Dallas and Dynasty. I mean, that was what the UK homes looked like because we were watching Dallas and Dynasty. So television and films will have a great influence on the way that we decorate our homes. But then latterly, in the last few years, it's been a lot about the environment and a lot about being on 24/7. Our responses to what's happening that we can't control in the world are driving us back towards the familiar colours of nature. The colours that make us happy, the colours that we surround ourselves are more natural, greens and blues. We used to sell
I was
more.
convinced that the colour of the year was going to be green.
Well, it very nearly could be, and it may well be next year. But this return to greens and blues, these colours that reconnect us with the sky and the landscape, they're huge. I mean, one of our best-selling colours at the moment is a colour called Sapphire Salute. It is the most
I need to write that down.
glorious blue.
I feel like I need to take lots of notes, but I'm recording it, so it's like, what?
Yeah.
I'm going to
But
do it anyway.
Sapphire Salute, and then there's another one, Everglade Forest and Emerald Glade. These colours are amazing. They're rich, deep blues and greens, and they're the colours that they're easy to look at. They've got shorter wavelength colours. They recede, so you put them on the walls, so they make the walls and the space seem bigger. Reconnect us with nature on a visual level as well as a sort of a psychological level. And so we start to see this. So when I hear colour psychology, I think colour psychology is more about colour experience, our experience of the world and our response to it around us, layered with science and the way that we see colour. I think that's the more powerful indicator.
It is a layer, isn't it? There are
yeah.
different ways of looking at colour psychology, aren't there? There's
Yes.
like you say, culture, science.
Yeah. And people, and I know, Karen Harler, super friend, she's the most amazing girl, absolutely wonderful. She's a colour psychologist. She's been grinding her teeth in the background saying, it's colour psychology is the thing. And it is, and she is a colour psychologist. But from my point of view and from our point of view, we have an experiential response. I think us as human beings are creatures of experience, and we adapt and flex, and we seek what we need and what we want from our environment, don't we? And
Absolutely.
you as an interior designer will see wonderful flexes and changes in what people are finding stylish and comfortable, maybe moving towards a more comfortable environment, places where you can retract to, more about me rather than what's going to please the neighbour or my friends. So you can see things changing in your world, and we see exactly the same things. And what we're looking for is global trends. So we're looking for something that's kind of affecting us as humanity. And this return to nature is huge, and it's becoming more huge. And these little pops of joy. Sorry, I'm going to have to say, but within that lovely, calm return to nature.
I'm so chuffed that we're all like.
Yes, you're bang on trend with
this was before I knew about the psychology of colour. Just not the psychology of colour. This was before I knew about true joy.
Or how it might make you feel. But these joy is really important. We need to inject joy, and we need to seek it out actively in our lives. And colour can give us pops of joy that don't cost us any money. And every day you'll see this beautiful golden cushion, you'll go, and it puts a smile on your face. Why? We don't know, but it just does. Because it just reminds
the
us
colour
of
of sunshine.
sunshine, baby chicks, the first flowers of spring, reminds us that the winter is over. Buttercups, biscuits, look, this one is absolutely gorgeous. Butter. I mean, I'm thrilled already. Ginger snaps, all the nice bits of custard. I mean, all these
Oh,
things.
yeah, custard.
Wonderful. So we use colour to give us what we want and what we need. And joy. We need joy right now. And so bright colours, dopamine colours, these lovely bright colours that we see in almost like sweeties, fizzy sweeties, little pops of those into an interior just give us, that smile, that little cheeky smile in a room.
Oh, that's amazing. And I think if you did do yellow in a whole room, a little bit like our toilets here, where you do pink in a whole room and you go in and you go, whoa. But if you sat in that room with just yellow everywhere, it wouldn't work, would it?
Well,
it is all about
amounts,
the pops, isn't it?
Yeah, I've seen it now. I stayed in an Airbnb the other day, and it was the whole thing was just the shower room and toilet were yellow, and the tiles, the toilet seat, the toilet paper even was yellow. It was amazing. And I went in. And
where was this?
It was it was in Margate. It was
my
crazy.
God.
So, and that was it put a smile on my face all day. But because you just visited that space, had an intense experience, and then left, that was fine. However, and I think in a restaurant or a commercial space where you're making a big impact, yes, but then you're not living with it all the time. I think it's like sweeties, isn't it? Or really intense spice in food. You just need enough. Too much, and it overwhelms. So yeah, you've got to be clever with an intense yellow. But this is the story of true joy, or the story of yellow. That's only one yellow. I think next year, 2025, is going to be all yellows, whether it's a buttery cream through to or all the way through to true joy. All yellows are going to have their day because we need more joy than ever before.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I totally agree. And when we did the event, there's a colour palette, isn't there, around True Joy, which there's three different palettes.
Yes. Yeah. Do you want me to tell you about those?
Yeah, I'd love to.
So True Joy is the kind of colour, and this is where people go, no, there's no one colour of the year. It's a story. So True Joy captures that mood of the moment. But there were three really clear stories coming out in colour and kind of different vibes that were coming through in design. And the first one was about being human. In the world of AI, where we have, lots of problems can be solved for us with AI, but lots more problems are created for us with AI. And there was a wonderful advert where somebody had said, I don't want AI to do my art or my poetry. I want AI to do the dishes and the washing up and the hoovering. I feel exactly
the
the same
admin,
way.
please.
I want to do the admin, which is a certain amount, but I don't want AI to do my art and creativity. I want AI to do the boring bits that I don't want to do. I want to solve problems for me. And so this sense of being human, of celebrating all the messy, mucky, dirty, raggedy edges bits of humanity and all of the genius that is humanity. A child brings a pot, or you go to a pottery class and you make your first pot. It's not perfect, but oh my God, that's the most precious thing you'll ever have because you made it. So celebrating humanity, how people make things. We're seeing this huge return to craft. I mean, Etsy, what do? We look on Etsy and there's everybody as a maker. Everybody, because
it's lovely, isn't it?
Unlocking the joy of making for everybody, whether it's
and
personalization
as well, isn't it? It's really that personalization is something that we've talked about in our Trends podcast from the HRC when we did it on stage, and that like you said, that personalization, and it's all about you.
Yeah.
It's all about how do you feel in that space, and what do you need? Not what's keeping up with the Joneses. Is that's a bit last year, isn't it? Well, 10 years ago maybe.
Yeah, and we're moving towards more and more of that. So that human touch. Who are you? Who am I? We're different. We're the same. And this palette has True Joy in it because True Joy is a palette of 10 colours. True Joy is always one of them. But the rest of the palette is a palette of the most beautiful, warm neutrals, familiar oatmeal colours, and skin tones as beautiful, soft beiges through to really rich, deep chocolate browns. So a gorgeous palette of human colours, where True Joy is that one colour that just gives you that pop. But it's telling a human story of what it is to be human. And then there's another palette, or the second palette is about being proud. So all around the world, we are experiencing deglobalization. So up until a few years ago, our sense of, I'll just take interior design. So our sense of style was mid-century modern, bit of Scandi, maybe Japandi, maybe we were homogenizing design. And all the way around the world, we were seeing the same designs turning up in Design Week, in Milan Design Week. But recently we've started to see more ethnic designs, more ethnic prints, more so less design that's focused on the Nordics and more design that's focused on regional areas. So beautiful wickerware from China, the most amazing Japanese lacquerware. So things that are more, and we celebrate them because they're different. They add a richness to design that we've not seen before. We really have moved towards this kind of mid-century modern Scandi style of that's what style is. And actually the world has got more to offer. So this palette is, we call it the Proud palette. It's being proud of where we've come from, whether you come from North Wales or whether you come from Africa. It's where you've come from, your roots, your heritage. And these colours are mainly, they're inspired by natural pigments. So they're rich, they're raw, they're smoky. This palette's in two halves. So it's got half cool and half warm, but deep and rich and really moody. And then True Joy is like an equal player here. So you can pop True Joy in anywhere. And we're starting to see amazing ethnic prints, designs, hand painting, very, celebrating the handmade in big shapes and, simple floral designs or leaf patterns and that kind of thing. This palette is perfectly designed for that. And then the third one is called the Bold Colour Palette. And this is the one that captures this idea that we need to take a leap. So be bold. I
love it. It's such a dopamine hit. I love it.
You see, you're hardwired to be bold on behalf of your clients. And I think that this is the sort of, and people are starting to come around to this, these dopamine colours, these colours that give us a bit of something that we need. And people are being braver with colour blocks, with sort of calling out maybe a chair or two in a bright colour, or the inside of a cupboard, or, painting shelves or a block, or even taking colour up onto the roof. So we're starting to see that more and more and more. And this palette is designed for that. It's called the Bold Colour Palette, and it gives you the opportunity to leap out of your comfort zone and find where the magic is.
I feel like I keep thinking I'm going to reach for this in the middle of what you're talking. I didn't want to talk.
No.
This is if anyone's listening, I apologise.
Yes,
but you need to go onto YouTube and check this out.
Yeah,
but this is the story, isn't it?
Yeah, these are the colour stories. Now, what I can give you is I'll give you a link to the PDF of the whole book, not this one, but the whole book.
Oh, the big one, yeah.
Share it with your listeners. And it is amazing. So that will give you all of the trends. And I know we hate the word trends. All of the colour stories, all of the insights behind them, why we think they're important, and a reminder from me that these are just tools for creative people like you. This is me or our company giving you hopefully colours that bring you joy forever, or for your customers. Yep.
For me. You touched on warm and cold just then.
Yeah.
What's your? I mean, I've got my own theory on warm and cold in each particular interior that I go to, and I always feel like you need to have a balance. Of warm and cold.
Yeah.
You can never sort of tip it too far the wrong way.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on warm and cold colours?
Two thoughts on warm and cold colours. So if we look at how we describe warm and cold colours, so when we talk about warm colours, we tend to talk about yellows, oranges, and reds. When we talk about cool colours, we talk about greens, blues, and violets, and that would be a sort of conversation you would understand that. However, there is a wonderful thing in art that says colour takes the credit, but tone does all the work. So the darker the colour is, the closer it feels to you. So any dark colours advance. So whatever colour you're using, whether it's a blue or a green or a red or an orange, if it's a deep shade of that, you create this warm environment because the walls look closer to you. So you can... Oh,
hello, Harvey. Hang on, let me just go and shut the door.
This is the interior design master himself.
Where were we? We were talking about colour.
So we were talking about warm and... I think.
Warm and cool.
Yeah, warm and cool. Yeah, warm and cool.
I totally disturbed the middle of that. Yeah. That's annoying.
So where did we get to? There is this famous phrase in that colour takes the credit. So colour takes the centre stage, but it's tone that does all of the work. And if you have a dark tone of any color, whether it's warm or cool, so whether it's a red or a yellow or a pink, if it's dark, it will advance. So it looks closer to you. So it creates a cozy environment. So you can have a warm room in a deep blue. It could be described as warm and cozy in a deep green. And these are cool colors. We would normally call these colors cool colors. But the darker the color is, the closer it appeals to you, the closer the walls appear to you, and the cozier the environment that it creates. So that's the kind of that's how I imagine, or that's how I think darker spaces create cozier, warmer spaces.
I think if I was to do like a dark blue room, for example, I would put something like a pop of yellow in it or gold.
Yeah,
so
gold,
it balances it. So you've got that balance of
absolutely.
No, Harvey.
Or lovely warm lighting. So you can balance the cool, but the dark is the thing that creates the arm around you, the visual arm around you. The dark is the thing that hugs you. So yeah.
So how colour define and transform spaces? Would you like to talk about this?
Colour is one of the least expensive elements of interior design, isn't it? I mean, you can paint a room for less than it costs for a couple of designer cushions, and yet that's the impact. So colour is everything, and it is a tool for interior design. Is a creative tool. Harvey's having a good old scratch over there.
Oh my
This
goodness.
is great. Color is the cheapest ingredient in interior design. I know people moan about the expense of paint, but if you think a couple of designer cushions and you could decorate a room the same amount in paint. So color is the biggest transformer of a space, and that's whether you're using a subtle white or a bold color like True Joy, and you can use it cleverly and in pops. So when we talk about colors, color doesn't necessarily have to be wraparound, though that is one thing. Fully drenching a room is one beautiful way of making a statement with color, but also just painting the edge of a door. So you see the door that's open behind us. If you just painted the edge of that door in a bright yellow or a pink, that could be enough for some people to make a real statement, to give them a little smile when they look at the edge of that door. So color is everything. You know this because I've been upstairs into your studio, and you've got all of these wonderful books that you're putting together, and you're creating a conversation with a space using color as one of your ingredients, and it makes all the difference. And some people can take strong color, and some people can't. I think most people can. They just don't know it. So it is the tool that unlocks the personality of a space more than anything else.
I think one of the things, when I've got a tight budget on a project, I always get really creative with paint. And I always use paint a lot and in a creative way. And I think that's the true value of being an interior designer is that you can make something look amazing without spending stupid money. And paint is the one way. And you can do all sorts of things. You can get some tape and make a pattern. And
painting up onto the ceiling.
Spray paint.
A big circle on the ceiling can be the thing that stops everybody in their tracks. You could have spent a fortune on the rug, but the circle of colour on the ceiling or the bullseye of colour on the ceiling is the thing that everybody talks about.
Absolutely. And you guys did it in your, and if anyone wants to see this, have a look at it on my socials, because there's a little, as we went into the True Joy unveiling, if you like, there was this arch
yes
of True Joy.
Yes.
And it was beautiful. And it was just paint. It's just paint. You just have to just get creative. It is all about being,
making your money go further. I mean, there is nothing more expensive than a new kitchen. But if you've got a kitchen you can paint, I mean, there's a whole other ballgame going there. And if you're clever and you've got a good decorator, you can transform a kitchen in less than a week. And think of the thousands and thousands of pounds that you're saving. I think also as well, I mean, in the UK, we're having a bit of a cost of living crisis, probably all over the world. We want to make our money work harder. If you get really good quality paint, you can transform anything. And it doesn't have to cost you a fortune. And again, as an interior designer, you know this, when the budget's tight, you get the paintbrush out.
Absolutely. And do you know what? It's more sustainable as well. So if you can, like if you bought a kitchen that you can paint, or if you use paint, you could, I mean, I get really bored. Because of what I do for a living, I want to change the walls in my house all the time.
Ditto.
So painting is one of them. And actually I'm kind of sitting here thinking I should have bought a kitchen I could paint. Because now I've got like a heavy gloss sort of finish, and I'm going, I'm a bit bored of that now. And I've had it for 5 years, and I'm going, shall I get some new doors? But actually, if I'd have got painted, so to get sustainable.
That was the consideration when I bought my kitchen. Can I paint it? Because I know that in a few years' time, I'm going to get bored. And if I can paint it and change the color and immediately change the whole vibe of the place, then yeah, that's a tick for me.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and I love the sustainability edge as well, because we're all trying to be more regenerative, aren't we?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
um,
I mean, on the sustainability front, we talked about paint right at the beginning of this. Your first experience of painting was color. It's more than just color. The actual formulation, the right formulation for the right space will give you longevity. It will last. The customer will be happy. And if you think about the sustainability in terms of the quality of the paint, so if you have a paint that you can wipe, you can rub, something that's incredibly hard wearing, like the diamond with a diamond finish, and it can be in a super matte. So you can have a flat finish in a diamond formulation, and it'll last for years and years and years. And that's sustainability, because it means you using less paint, less time. So you are extending the decorating period of time. If you get the colours right, people will be living with it for longer. So that's an element of sustainability that people don't often consider. So if you buy nice paint, chalk paint, that's not going to last very long, you're going to be painting again and again and again and again. If you get the colours right and you go buy really good paint, you're not going to be painting again and again. You save on the decorators' fees, you save the environment, you save on time, you save money. It just makes sense.
I had a client recently just making me think about where I'd specified Dulux paint, and I've got a funny feeling that they didn't follow the specification, because it's one of my favourite restaurants, and it's the Noodle Bar in Colchester, and I've been in there quite a few times, and they're going, "Oh, we're going to wallpaper everywhere because the paint is getting really marked," and I'm like, I don't think the decorators used the right paint.
Yeah.
And I asked him if we could get it tested, because we were going to do that, and he's like, "No, it's fine. We're just going to like buy a roll of wallpaper a month and and do it themselves."
But if you get the wrong formulation, you're absolutely right.
So
It doesn't stand up to the job. So in a restaurant, you want a diamond finish. You want in a hotel or a really, really busy lobby, you want scuff shields. You want something that's going to put up, stand to a lot of hammer. Yeah.
Definitely. And that is the crux of it, is you need to just make sure you've got the right product in the right place. Otherwise it's just
You wouldn't use a domestic fabric, would you, in on a commercial sofa?
No.
And it's the same with paint. You wouldn't use a domestic paint in a commercial environment.
No. But then saying that is because I've worked in commercial first and went into residential afterwards, I have a real thing about, like, the fire retardancy is higher on a commercial fabric.
Yeah.
Actually, the durability is higher. Why wouldn't you put that in someone's house? If you've got, like, I've got a son with ADHD.
Yeah.
He trashes the sofa every time he sits on it, as most parents will understand and relate to that.
Yes.
So, like, why am I putting a domestic fabric on a sofa when my child is such a Tasmanian devil, So actually, when you've got dogs and children and everything, I went in the doctor's surgery. I went in the vets the other day to take Harvey to the vets because he had 27 teeth out, if I haven't.
No.
And they had a seat in the vets which was dog proof. You could see that this seat was really, really hard wearing, and I'm like, people should do this more at home. And so I kind of really bring that when I do a domestic house.
Yeah.
I always bring that, and I always try and make it fire retardant, because why would you not have a fire retardant fabric when you've got a choice to do that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like, in your home. Like, you're not supposed to have it fire retardant at home, so we're not as safe at home.
Yeah.
Like, oh, is that okay? No, I don't think that's okay. That's not okay with me. So, sorry, rant, digress.
Good rant.
So we've spoken about how Dulux predict future colour trends. We've spoken about what the top colours are for this year, or next year even. How does social and environmental factors shape colour trends?
I think it's everything. If you're experiencing, so for example, we talked about a cost of living crisis here in the UK. So that will, it will drive people to decorate less often, but they'll be upcycling more. So they might be decorating their homes less often, but they'll be upcycling furniture more. So that means that's a response to what's happening to us in the world. If you think about as well the environment, so we are really heavily focused on nature and working in harmony with nature. So you're going to be looking for paints that are more sustainable, VOC free. You're going to be looking for paints where you can take the bit of leftover paint to your recycling centre and somebody else can use it. You're thinking about how you use colour in the garden to attract pollinators. So more pollinators in the garden so that they meet each other, they breed and they reproduce. So you can do that with colour in the garden. We're using colour more mindfully in a situation where we find there's less that we can control in the wider world, but more that we can control in our homes. And we're using colour and paint to make ourselves happier and to make the environment happier.
Love it. And it affects our moods and our emotions as well, doesn't it?
100% it does. Yeah, I mean it's one of the it's something that I'm working on the idea of a book at the moment about the power of colour to transform everything, but not just from an experiential point of view, but there was with the science as well. Why do we do things? Why do we respond in this way? So how the science crosses over to culture, how it crosses over into emotion, and then you put that layer on of what's happening in the world and why are we doing this kind of thing. So it's one of the drivers of it. Why do we use colour? Why do we seek colour as a solution to the way that we feel often? I mean, if we're going out to a party, we tend to either wear, well, I might, as I'm older, wear something that makes me look slimmer. So it would generally be black. But I will wear a gorgeous pair of earrings, some amazing shoes, some really bright tights.
Oh my God, have you seen Marianne's tights? Is it in the shot? Oh my God, they're so good. They're so true joy.
But so I'll use colour to give myself a little bit of confidence. If I'm going out with my sister, for example, I don't care anymore. So I'm going to wear the brightest colours that the brightest colours that I can. So I use colour to give myself a little bit of something when I go out in my wardrobe. And that translates to the food on my plate. If you've got a plate of beige food, yes, it might be comfort food. But actually, what really turns us on is a plate of really colourful food, lots of reds and oranges, and they make your mouth water. When you see, so everywhere we as human beings touch colour in our lives, it gives us something that we need.
Love that. How to use colour to promote calm, focus, or energy in various spaces?
There's an interesting one because different people will need different things from colour. So, for example, in a school, you'll have a load of children who are all very different with very different needs. Sometimes they need to focus, and sometimes they're anxious and stressed, and they just need to calm down. So you need to create spaces within that environment that gives them both things. And there might be spaces of energy where you have to, you're getting ready for sports or the sports hall, where you use brighter, more intense colours. Or you might have a classroom where you want children to focus on the teacher or focus on a space. So you would use quite a bright colour to draw attention. So colour can be used to engender different responses, and that all promotes well-being. So this is the wonderful thing about being an interior designer. One solution doesn't fit all. You have to respond to your client, what your client needs, and often in a big commercial space, it's more than one person. So it's much more now in an environment, you'll have multiple spaces, a little quiet reading space, a little sort of space where you're relaxing, and a little space where you want to be energized, or a space where you want to draw people together to be entertained. So it's it's a language you have to learn a little bit, but not in one size does not fit all when it comes to colour and creating.
And my biggest mantra in interior design is that you have to listen.
Yeah.
And you really have to, and for me, this is my favourite part of being a designer, is that you have to really give that person what they don't know they want, and really kind of listen to what they're saying and translate that into how am I going to make that person feel really good in their space because I'm going to solve that problem, or this is why they've come to me. They've got this, generally people come because they haven't got time, or they want to feel a certain way in their space, and they want it to feel special, and how that person feels special is going to be different for every single client.
Absolutely.
So you can't just go, right, that colour makes people feel special. You can't do that. You have to be really intuitive and read between the lines and kind of really try and figure out what makes that person tick and what makes them happy. I mean, if someone really likes being on a beach, for example, those beach colours might be a good palette to start with on. So if you're asking your client lots of questions, you need to get to know them, and the people I've got to know, or who've allowed me to get to know them the most, I've done the best job for, because I just know what makes them tick, and I know what makes them feel good, and things like that. And that's the key to getting it really right as an interior designer. And then on the flip side, that's sort of at home. On the flip side of that is commercial spaces. And like you said, you've got to make, if you've got kids who need to calm down or kids who need to focus in a school, for example, absolutely. And you've got that in an environment, in a commercial space as well. So if you're, for example, doing a hotel, people are living in your space. So you need to be able to do this exactly the same. You need to have somewhere where people can work, somewhere where people can focus, somewhere where people can chill out and calm down. And you've got to have all of those different things. And that's becoming, especially in the hotel environment, much, much more prominent and much more asked for, from my perspective, from my clients, is that they're wanting to give not just one thing, they're wanting to give different people, and also the whole thing with neurodiversity as well, and people being more aware of neurodiversity. I think that is going to be huge in our society in terms of being on the spectrum. So everyone is on the spectrum somewhere, aren't they? And some people are much more introvert than others, you know, and that's just character. I was going to say flaws, but character traits, you know, and there's this thing with neurodiversity that people want to have certain things to, they need certain environments to create something for them, to help them. And actually, when you think about it, everybody needs that. Everybody needs that. Everyone needs that. And when you make a space really, really healthy for a neurodiverse environment, it actually makes the space really, really healthy for everyone. Because it gives you lots of different areas and different feelings and touch points and things like that. So
I think this is going to be one of the biggest areas of development in design, interior design, is designing for neurodiversity. Because I mean, we design at the moment when all of the legislation is designed towards people who are in wheelchairs or can't physically, or there may be some physical an inability to do something physically, but actually it's probably more what's going on in our noggins that is the biggest thing that we should address as human beings, especially designing for spaces to make people happy and to function better for everyone. I think that's, I mean, it's such a fantastic area of research and focus in Dulux. So we're constantly designing to help people. So, for example, help people with dementia to live in their homes safer for longer. We've just created, a couple of years ago, we created a we do dementia-friendly palettes, of course, but also for people who suffer from migraine. So we work with the National Migraine Centre, and for people who suffer with migraine, you know, colours can be triggers. And so we created a palette of colours that works really well for people who are super sort of, you know, have migraines, and to help relieve that, or to help to sort of not have those triggers in your home anymore and create a calm environment.
So many people who have migraines who don't know that.
It's a huge amount of people in the world suffer from migraine. And so if you live in a migraine-friendly, decorated environment, and these colours are absolutely beautiful. They're so beautiful. They're so tranquil. They're just gorgeous. This is a beautiful palette of colours. So you can look on the Dulux website and look for the migraine-friendly palette. So that's an interesting one. So you see, we're talking about colour as this magical tool, aren't we? I love it when people say, oh, it must be really nice working colour. And it is the best job in the world. But when you start to dive into what the day job is and how you're using this incredible tool to transform lives for the better, that's your mission, is to make life better with colour. I mean, what a fantastic thing. And every day we'll learn something new about it, and to be able to use it to make life better.
It's so big.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge.
So important.
We don't fully understand it. We understand it on certain levels, but we don't understand the full power of colour. We really don't, because we have been genetically designed, you know, from our colour gives us an advantage as human beings over other human beings and as animals, if you like. So our ability to see colour helps us to be able to see ripe fruit, to be able to make choices. So colour vision is fundamental to the success of human beings on the planet, and we don't know enough about it. It's a bit like the deep ocean. So I've got plenty to learn. We both have.
We do. I love learning. That's why I do the podcast. I'm learning from you now, and I learn from everybody who comes in. It's great. Every day's a school day. Do you have any real life examples of projects where colour has significantly impacted
I
the
suppose we'll
design
have
success?
loads and loads of them because our colour teams are working on them all the time. So everything from hotels to big social housing projects, they've got, I mean, literally we'll have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. There are so many of them. I mean, simply painting the door of a community centre in a bright colour to remind people that it's a community centre, taking the colour onto the edge of the doors to actually sort of show this is the door of the community centre. Just that as an example. It was a community centre in a social housing project, can't remember where it was. But just that pop of colour that reminded people that this was a space for them, that this was a space where fun happened. And it was just this pop of orange. It's just beautiful. But colour, we've got so many of them. I don't know where to start.
Yeah. We've just done, we were talking about it on a podcast the previous podcast that I just did about commercial kitchens, and we worked with Grapp Brothers on arena racing, which was Southwell Racecourse or Southall, wherever you. If you live in Southwell, it's called Southwell. If you don't, it's called Southall. Really, I don't know why. But in what we did was we came up with a colour palette and Dulux colours where it complemented their brand. So with arena racing, they've got sites all over the country, and we work with their head office. So we've got a kind of a overall colour palette for their all of their sites. And then this particular site, their brand was a really grassy green colour. So we put more of kind of that tone in. And we've put this orange in that really complement, like a terracotta-y orange, you know, that really lovely colour that's on trend. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah.
That's on trend at the moment. And we put that with the green, and we just did pops, you know, so it was pillars and surrounds and the odd feature wall in the green, and then the terracotta as well. And then everything else was really, really neutral. And it just looked amazing. It just looked, and we did have a really tight budget, especially going towards the end, because the insurance company decided they weren't going to pay out as much as we thought they were going to. So we were like, all hands on deck to value engineer everything. So it was like, right, let's use the paint, you know, and let's use some real bold colours. And it just looked awesome. And it was really bold, and you wouldn't probably you wouldn't put this green in your living room because it would be so really oppressive. But on pops of colour as you go through, it just really made it. And they were, when I first came up with the idea, the client was just like, whoa, it's a lot. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, just trust me. He's like, okay. And they went with it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. And I was really, really pleased with the result. It was brilliant. Really, really cool.
Good.
So even in the hotel rooms, we did it. We did some green.
Brilliant. Yeah. But, I love a commercial project for doing that. Because you can do that, because people are there just for a brief amount of time, and that just gives them what they want. It's just like little nuggets of joy and fun, you know, but you don't tend not to be able to do that so easily at home, because you're going to be there for a lot longer. You wouldn't wear the same outfit every day for the next 5 years, but you kind of have to decorate a living room or a kitchen or a bedroom, and that has to be for the next 5 years. So you have to get it right.
Absolutely. I always like dressing things like with colour, like in my house.
Yeah.
I would always go, okay, I'm going to change that wall quite a lot.
Yes.
This month is going to be white.
Yeah.
But even with the wallpaper, I've got a feature wall where it's a Brown Mackenzie wallpaper, and it's like this greenhouse effect with these cheese plants, a bit like these ones. Can you see those? Yes.
Yeah.
But then so it's got these cheese plants and all these other different plants in there. And so it's really busy, this wallpaper, but it's got loads of like tones in it. So I'm kind of like, at the moment, the wall is kind of like this really lovely, what's last year's colour of the year called?
Sweet Embrace.
Sweet Embrace. Yep. Really similar to that, but slightly kind of more taupey, not so pink. And I'm going to go white next. And the white so it looks quite cosy at the moment, but when I go white, it's going to look a little bit more clean and sharp.
And clean. Yeah.
So it's really interesting.
Good.
Tangent again. We're off on a tangent again.
All right.
Do you have any advice for selecting colours for different spaces, for example, kitchens and bedrooms?
Coming back to color, choosing colors for different spaces is, as an interior designer, you'll be doing that. You'll be looking at materials. So you're always starting with the materials, the big elements. What's the carpet color? What are the fabrics? And then you work the colors around it. So that would always be a great starting point. So think about the most expensive thing in the room and then work around it. So if you're stuck with a set of curtains or a carpet, you've got to work around that. You can't ignore it. But in terms of, say, for kitchens, what do you do in the kitchen? Do you want your family to come together and eat together? Do you want to, or in a commercial environment, do you want people to be really stimulated? Do you want it to be amazingly stimulating and memorable? And if that's the case, then you would probably choose warm colours. You'd choose colours that bring people together, that stimulate the appetite, stimulate conversation.
What colours stimulate the appetite?
Reds and oranges, yellows are the same. So the colours that remind us of food, delicious, ripe food, tasty, spicy food, and that gets us going. If you want a kitchen to be more tranquil, to sort of be a bit more laid back, greens are fabulous in a kitchen because you can dial up the reds and colours in vegetables and accessories, and it sort of creates this more calm atmosphere. So if you're prone to a bit of an argument at supper time, as busy family, there's always when the rows kick off, then don't choose red. But, and if you want to lose weight a little bit in the kitchen, so, if you're wanting to sort of not hit the fridge quite so much, choose colours that are less appetizing. So blues and greens, violets, slight tinges of violet. Those are colours in nature that we don't tend to eat. So it doesn't turn us on appetite-wise. We don't start to salivate when we start to see.
I did not think that you would be giving people advice on how to lose weight in this podcast, but this is good. I'm loving this. I think my kitchen's going to have to go blue.
It's association. I mean, green is great because it will promote healthy eating, and it's also one of the neutral colours that works with everything. Red will stimulate your appetite. Red will get the juices flowing in conversation, in taste buds as well. Blues, we don't tend to find anything in nature much that we, other than poisons in blue, so we tend not to. That colour is definitely a less appetizing colour, but it's also a calming colour. So if you do tend to find, I mean, my mum and dad used to row like cats and dogs at lunchtime, dinner time. They loved it. And we had an orange kitchen. And, I don't know whether that's just in my mind. I'm thinking, of course, that's why they row. So I do not have, I have a deep, dark blue kitchen.
Wow.
We never row. I don't know whether that's got anything to do with it. I mean, that's just silly. But these,
you never know.
Colour can affect. I mean, if you think about passion in the bedroom, if your love life is flagging a little, get a bit of red going on in there because that's the colour of passion and excitement. If there's too much passion going on there, then pull out the green card.
There's never too much, is there?
The green card. No, there's never too much passion. But yeah, colour for different areas of the house, depending on what you want to happen. And then start looking at how the colour appears on the walls. So blues and greens and violets are receding colours. They look further away from you. They have shorter wavelengths. So if you want spaces to be bigger, so for a living room or a hallway and landing, if you want that to appear bigger, choose the colours that are receding. Paler versions of them. If you want to create cozy, warm environments, then you'll choose the warmer colours. So warmer taupes and browns and creams and oranges, yellows and reds, and those will create that lovely cozy environment. They're longer wavelength colours, and so the walls look closer to you. It's what you want to happen in a space rather than the space itself. I was thinking about, what do you want to happen in this space? Do you want to feel refreshed? Do you want to feel calm? Do you want to eat well? Do you want to pull people together? And then use the power of colour to get that result.
I love that so much. So what common mistakes do people make
with colour or with paint, or both? So paint we talked about using the wrong paint in the wrong environment, not doing your prep. So prep is the pig of a job that you have to get the prep done properly. If you're employing a decorator, the decorator will spend days and days and days doing the prep, and then literally, with the click of his fingers or her fingers, the job will be done. The colour will be on the walls, but it's all in the prep. So prep. Good prep has lasting results for good paint. So good paint and good prep. And then when it comes to colour, I think, if you're sharing a space with somebody, share it with them before you chuck it on the walls. Try a tester. Always do a tester. Use the visualizer tool on the app so you can see what the colour might look like on the walls before you commit to buying the paint. Because paint, although it's not an expensive element of the room, probably the cheapest for the biggest impact, it's still expensive and you don't want to make a mistake. So try and visualize it before you start. Work out how that color's going to look with all of your other elements. You know, the most expensive thing you probably have in your room is the sofa or the rug or the carpet, you know, the rug or the curtains. And so how does that color look with those elements? Because paint's easy to change and all of the other elements aren't. Yeah, I think try before you buy. I think that's probably the best bit of advice. Test us before you go full in. Yeah.
I love a tester. I'm going to get the interior palettes on the wall in the entrance here.
Yep.
I've put True Joy up there.
Oh,
like
lovely.
Little, sort of swatch on there. But I want to get like the stories.
Yeah.
Because it just, they're so inspiring.
Oh,
and
lovely.
They're so current. For me, anyway, they are the colours that I'm using already. And it's just, it's really captured it. It's lovely.
Good.
So Dulux have lots of tools.
We do.
How can you give us a bit of advice on how successfully to use those tools?
Best thing to do is to go onto the Dulux Trade Paint Expert website or the Dulux Trade website and have a look. And they'll have tools for professional designers. So everything from plug-in tools for your laptop to or your PC or your tablet to show you all of the palettes. We'll have specifier tools. We have an amazing Eye for Colour, which is a little digital tool that actually gives you a colour match. They're brilliant, aren't they? Absolutely brilliant. There are so many tools. We are never short of tools. And even our the colour cards, like the Dulux Heritage Colour Card, it is a tool. So it shows you which colours work with each other. It puts them into colour families. It gives you the perfect white for each of the colour pillars. So everything we design that we give to architects, designers and specifiers and our customers is a tool in itself. Everything from the colour cards to a digital plug-in tool. So check out the website because it's absolutely packed with tools you can download or order. There's also one of my favourite tools, and nobody really knows about this, and it's one of my favourite ever tools. It's called the Interior Designers. What is it called? The Dulux. It's the most boring name, but it's not very sexy. So it's the Dulux Trade Paint Expert for Interior Designers, and it's a little tablet tool. It's a tool that you can have on your tablet, and it's the most amazing thing. So you can create little mood boards. But what you can do is you can put a photograph of the interior that you've got there, or the carpet or the cushions, so you can start to create a mood board. But it has this magic color picking tool. And when you can look into a photograph and pick from thousands of colors. So it will identify colors from fabrics in infinitesimal detail. And then it will give you the color palette and it will give you a coordinating, contrasting.
Why do I not know about this?
It's amazing. And then you can order from that, from the website and from that app, little swatches of hand painted samples. So for your mood boards,
real ones,
for free. Yeah,
God,
yeah, it's amazing. I use that app every single day. So if I'm looking at something, or I'm trying to choose a color, or I'm trying to put a palette of colors together, I use that. I literally do use it every single day. And you can put annotation on it. You can put your logo on it. You can send it to clients. It's probably something you do on a slightly different app, but I got my tablet with me all the time and I'm using it all the time. Yeah,
that's amazing. I'm going to put a link in the bio. Because it
is not a very sexy sounding app, but it is the best. It's simply every designer that I work with, all of they all absolutely love this app. It's brilliant, and it has all of the color palettes on it. Yeah.
How does Dulux incorporate sustainability into their product lines?
Sustainability is at the heart of everything we do. If we're not sustainable, we don't survive. We are not in the business of destroying the planet. So we hit all of our VOC targets of 0 VOCs. We have some amazing schemes. We've just celebrated, 1 million litres of recycled paint being made, paint being taken back and made into new paint. We support.
Where would you take that paint from?
Well, the Community Repaint Scheme is absolutely fantastic. We've been supporting this for nearly 30 years. So basically, if you or your decorator has paint, leftover paint, if they've got any paint can go back to a Dulux decorator centre. So they will recycle it and take it away, and we will recycle the paint. But if you take it to a community repaint centre, so you can find these online, so just put in community repaint centre near you, and it's basically a household refuse tip that will take the paint. We will redistribute the paint to communities and to charitable projects. If it's really, really good, we'll sell it for peppercorn amounts to people who are running their own businesses. And then we'll recycle the stuff that we can't give away. So
That's
we
amazing.
are committed to not wasting a drop. I mean, the biggest environmental impact is probably people washing their brushes badly or chucking paint into the tip. So, we need to encourage people and help them not to chuck away paint that can be used and saved or made into new paint. So washing your brushes, washing your rollers really well, using every last drop. I mean, if a decorator, all decorators know this, but there's a magic tool for getting paint out of a roller where you would literally, it's about 250 mils worth of paint in a roller. And paint isn't cheap, and it's also harmful to the environment if you flush it down the sink or you just chuck it away in a tip. So save every drop. We don't want to waste a drop because, that's the future of the planet. We don't want to mess about the planet. We are a huge paint manufacturer. There's no denying what we make is we make paint, but we want to commit that we have as much as possible a circular manufacturing process, so everything gets used and not thrown away. Then when we pass the paint into the hands of our decorators and DIYers, we give them means to be able to recycle that and take it somewhere and redistribute it, put every drop on the walls. And paint is a protective coating for the things that you love and you spend money on. And if you've got the right paint, things will last longer.
Do you supply a paint? Just really, really random question. Do you supply a paint that you can put on top of wallpaper?
You can put any paint on top of wallpaper. It's just how well the wallpaper's
clear...
been. It's how well it's been stuck and what kind of wallpaper it is. So if it's a vinyl paper, if you put on a multi-purpose or a primer for difficult surfaces, a primer, so you've got a really good stick to it, so that stick it to the vinyl. But generally, as soon as you put any liquid onto a wallpaper, if it's not been stuck down really, really well, it's going to start bubbling up.
I'm thinking about so I do a lot of commercial environments. I sometimes I'll specify a paper that's not as durable as I would like it to be. So therefore I would use a decorator's varnish, and I would just that's what I'm being told by the wallpaper company to say. What do you know what that is?
Decorative. Polyvine are a great company that do a decorator's varnish. So Polyvine do a water-based dead flat varnish, which is absolutely fantastic. You've got to be really careful on a dark wallpaper because if you put it on too thick, it can leave a milky film. But it's water-based. It's super, super tough. You can get it from Dulux Decorator Centres. So if you're looking for something specific or any advice, we have a technical advice line who are unbelievable.
They are amazing.
And if you go into a Dulux Decorator Centre and ask them, you tell them, I had a fantastic, somebody phoned me up there. They wanted to paint a load of leather suitcases that were going to go, it was an art piece. So it was going to go outside on the top of a church. And it was something like 60 suitcases. And I said, look, it's only paint, but this is the paint that you can use. And it'll keep it going for a little while, but it won't last forever, but it's paint. But there's a paint for everything.
How can designers use colour to support eco-friendly and regenerative design practices?
I mean, we just talked about, never waste a drop. Make sure that your decorator takes all of the old paint to a community repaint
have
centre.
a conversation with the decorators, isn't it? Really,
absolutely. Make sure that you order the right amount. So use a paint calculator to make sure. I mean, your decorator will do this. So because the idea is that it's precious stuff, and we don't want to waste it. So use it wisely. Make sure that you buy the right amount, and then anything that you've got left behind, obviously you're going to save a little bit for little touch-ups, but then take it to a community repaint centre where the community can use it. It can be donated to good causes or made into new paint.
Is there anything else that you would like to say to our audience that you feel is really, really important and current at the moment?
Use more colour. The thing I want to say to your audience is use more colour. Colour is the cheapest way and the most effective way to transform the way we feel in the spaces that we're living in today. And colour is more powerful than we can possibly imagine. And interior designers, we talked about colour psychology. I think interior designers are sort of psychologists anyway. We unlock the potential
marriage counsellors,
marriage counsellors, we are family counsellors, and colour is one of the most important and powerful tools in your toolbox.
Absolutely. Amazing. Marianne, thank you so much for coming to sit on the sofa with me. I really, really appreciate your time, and I appreciate your education for the designers as well who are listening to this and the aspiring designers. So yeah, thank you so, so much.
Oh, Hayley, it's been my great, great pleasure. Who cannot want to spend time with you talking about the thing I love more than anything else?
Oh, you have the best job in the world. Thank you for joining us on the Interior Design Podcast. If you like this episode, please like, share, and leave us a review. We're on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at interiordesign.podcast and on LinkedIn as Interior Design Podcast. We really value your feedback. If you have any ideas on topics you'd like us to cover or people that you would like us to interview, please get in touch. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.